So, Ginger.
Yeah?
You know how we wanted to start a podcast, but we were having trouble coming up with a topic?
Yeah?
Okay, so here's my pitch. The topic of the podcast is us trying to come up with the topic for the podcast.
What, like we pitch each other podcast ideas and that's the podcast?
Yeah, exactly. We could call it, What Should Our Podcast Be About?
Miles, that's really stupid. Let's do it.
What should this song be about? I'm trying to figure it out. What should this song be about? Could you perhaps help me out? I've had a moment of doubt. What should this song be about? Welcome to What Should Our Podcast Be About? The podcast where we try to figure out what this podcast that you're listening to right now should be about. I'm Miles Grover.
And I'm Ginger Barham.
Ginger, what were we doing? Last week Last week we had Tricks Are for Kids.
Tricks are for kids.
Where we failed to come up with all that many tricks that would actually...
Right. Tricking children.
Yeah, tricking children into doing... It's a parenting podcast.
Yeah. Parenting podcast. Which was kind of fun to talk about. Not our best idea. Definitely not our worst idea.
Not our worst. It's not toilet talk.
Certainly not our worst idea.
Yeah, we didn't think of any more tricks, so I guess we're not doing that podcast this week.
No.
So we still need more ideas for podcasts this week. Do you have one of those for us?
If they can involve children or not involve children.
Yes. Or cats.
Or cats. Or unicorns. Or other things.
Or literally anything, pretty much. So, maybe not literally, but pretty close.
No idea is too stupid.
Remember, all ideas are equally stupid, but some are more equal than others. Do you have an idea, or should I get started?
I have a couple ideas this week.
Okay.
I'm happy to start if you'd like. I have not fleshed out any of these ideas, I should say. So if you want me to expand upon them, I really can't. But my first idea was a Raccoon Fancast.
A Raccoon Fancast?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
you're saying you have you will not elaborate further.
Well, I mean, we can elaborate further. I'm saying I have not gotten any further than that in the process of it. I like raccoons. That should be a podcast. And that's the idea.
Okay. So what could we do? We could, if we had some local raccoons, we could watch them and talk about it, I guess.
Yeah. So yesterday we were in Albany trying to close on our house.
Yes, because we're moving to Albany.
And we're buying a house. We're going to be like actual adults, I guess.
Yeah. That's weird.
It's weird. But we were talking about there's a little area in the backyard at our new place that looks like it maybe was a koi pond at one point. So we were talking about making it a koi pond again. And our realtor said, the only thing is that sometimes raccoons might eat the koi. So then I got to thinking about raccoons, which raccoons are really never far from my mind.
Right.
and
if there's a picture of a cartoon picture of Ginger's brain, there's a little raccoon running on a treadmill in there, or a hamster wheel or something. Yeah.
No, it would be running on a treadmill because they've got a little hand, so they can hold the little treadmill handmill.
Well, they don't have opposable thumbs though, so they would have to hold it.
But they can grasp.
No, not really. That's why they usually have to use two hands. They can't grasp that well, so they pick up stuff. So they have to use it with two hands, like they're catching a frisbee or something. And that's
even
pretty
cuter,
cute too.
Even cuter. Yeah, and so I was just thinking about how I couldn't really be too mad about a raccoon eating our koi because it would be adorable. Because I don't know if you've ever seen a raccoon fish.
Yeah.
But they stick their head up in the air and look up at the sky. They don't actually look down at the thing that they're trying to catch. So they're just grabbing with their hands while looking at the sky.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Kind of like keyboard cat.
Right, okay.
The piano.
Yeah. There should be a keyboard raccoon. That'd be pretty good.
Yeah, we should
we would have to have
TM.
Yeah. We'd have to get a raccoon somehow.
Yeah.
And make that happen.
Yeah.
It would be a little bit...
And we'd have to teach the raccoon to play the piano. Maybe that's what the podcast could be about.
Teaching a raccoon to play the piano.
Yes.
We don't even know how to play the piano. We have a keyboard that I can play the keyboard cat song, but that's about it, which I guess is all we actually need if we want to teach a raccoon to play the keyboard cat song.
Yeah. I mean, we don't have to maybe we could just teach the raccoon chopsticks or something.
Yeah. I do feel like it would be a little messed up to have a koi pond so that you had a raccoon lure. It feels messed up to sacrifice the koi that way.
No, that's not what I was thinking. I was just thinking if it happened, I would be sad, but also couldn't get too upset about it.
Right.
Because raccoons gotta eat.
True. And koi gotta die, I guess. Everybody gotta die someday.
Yeah, it's like that tweet that I showed you the other day of this guy saying that the coyotes in his area kept eating his cats, and so the guy was like, well, how many cats have the coyotes eaten? And he's like, I don't know. I just every time it happens, I just go to the shelter and get a new cat. And he said that, well, it sounds like you're feeding shelter cats to the coyotes. Yeah, it would be like that, but with the koi, I guess. But with the koi. So, yeah, because you'd probably have to replace the koi, and then you just...
If you want more raccoons to come, you'd have to replace the koi. Yeah.
It's the circle of life.
Yeah. Just holding up a raccoon like Rafiki with the Lion King or whatever.
Yes.
Okay, so Raccoon Fancast, though.
Mm-hmm.
So step one is get koi to lure the raccoons.
Right.
Or somehow get raccoons in our backyard, which most people...
I don't think it will be that hard. Just put out some cat food.
Yeah, or I've seen videos of a guy, I feel like he's in Canada or Alaska or something, and he goes out on his back porch with just a bucket full of hot dogs. And he gets swarmed by the raccoons and just feeds them all the hot dogs.
Yeah, you showed me that video and it was so wonderful.
Yeah, we could be that guy.
We could be that guy.
If there's enough raccoons and we're okay with the risk of rabies, I guess.
I mean, we're moving to a fairly urban area, so there probably will be a lot of raccoons because the more trash there is, the more raccoons there are.
They are known as trash pandas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so step one, get a bucket of hot dogs or a pond of koi that we can lure the raccoons in with. Step two, question. Step three,
profit/podcast.
Yeah, okay. Or do we just do we don't necessarily have to have in-person raccoons to do a fan cast about raccoons.
Yeah. But I mean, any excuse to have in-person raccoons,
sure.
Really.
We could call it the official raccoon fan cast. There's official, it's the CEO of Beans.
Yeah,
right?
I'm the CEO of Raccoons.
Yeah, we're the official raccoon organization.
We could talk about cute raccoon videos that we've seen, we just did. One of my personal favorite raccoon videos is one of the raccoon eating Fruit Loops out of a Ziploc bag.
Yeah, that's a pretty good video.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen that, I would just Google it.
Just Google raccoon cereal.
And even if you don't find the right one, I bet you'll find some delightful stuff.
There's really no way that you can go wrong Googling raccoon cereal, I feel like.
Yeah, maybe you'll discover a new breakfast cereal for raccoons.
For raccoons?
Made by raccoons?
Made by raccoons would be even better.
For yourself that looks like raccoons. You're eating little raccoons, I guess. Or
what else could we talk about? We could have a segment where we talked about, our favorite things about raccoons.
Okay. Like their little hands.
Like their little hands.
Which are also the creepiest part of raccoons, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, people say that, but I disagree.
Okay, but did you know that raccoons have been known to use those little hands to hold a dog's head underwater and drown it? Because that's a thing. Okay,
so we're supposed to be talking about our favorite things about raccoons.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I get why people would think they're creepy. All right, so what are your favorite things about raccoons then?
Well, not the thing you just told me.
They got those cute stripy tails.
They got those cute stripy tails. They're super into trash. They're
That's why they're
like
little, friends with us.
They're like a bunch of little Oscars.
Yeah, but they've also got little bandit masks, so they're also little bandits.
They're little bandits.
And imagining a raccoon with a bandana on is very cute.
Yeah. I mean, they just feel like the anarchists of the animal world, too.
Yeah.
Which is endearing. They're very chaotic.
Yeah, they're chaotic. They're little Antifa soldiers or
little
something.
Antifa soldiers.
Yeah, sure.
So I used to volunteer at a wildlife center. And then we did get to take care of some baby raccoons for a bit. They're incredibly messy eaters, which I love.
Right. Which you'll see if you watch that raccoon cereal video.
So the babies are like, you put in this kind of gruel stuff that you feed to the babies, and you put it in there, and 5 minutes later you come back and it's just completely all over the cage walls, just all over their fur, everywhere. Right. So that's pretty fun. And I just love how curious they are.
Sure.
So yeah, so that's one of my ideas. What do you got this week?
Okay. My first idea is called Eat My Butt, Mr. Jenkins.
Okay.
Which is
referencing
which is a reference to my comic, my Vampire Cat comic.
You should tell people where to find your comic because it's wonderful and more people should read it.
Sure. It's vampire-cat.com, or you could find it on Instagram. If you search for it, you'll probably find it.
Put in the vampire-cat.com.
Yeah. So there's a strip where the titular vampire cat, he rolls on like the owner's keyboard, right? And then the last frame is like an email saying, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I swear that my cat sent that email. I don't know how he managed to type 'Eat my butt, Mr. Jenkins,' but
I would never
do that." That's the comic, basically.
Yeah.
And so the idea, the podcast is called "Eat My Butt, Mr. Jenkins," and the idea is we help people come up with excuses for bad stuff they did.
Okay.
Right? Like they accidentally emailed their boss, "Eat my butt, Mr. Jenkins." Presumably the boss is Mr. Jenkins. If not, that's even weirder maybe. But
right.
Just tell him your cat did it. I don't know. That's about as far as I got with that. But I feel like a podcast where we help people come up with excuses is basically an advice podcast, but kind of specifically when you're in a bad situation and you need to like try to explain to somebody. Right. And so we would come up with like the most ridiculous. I mean, tell them your cat did it isn't actually very good. We would help you come up with better ideas, I guess.
Okay.
Than that. More ridiculous, at least.
Okay. So one problem I see is this is actually a good idea for a podcast. So there's that. Well. And that's not usually what we traffic in here.
Well, sometimes. We've had some pretty good ones.
Yeah.
I feel like this one, I don't know, it could... It sounds like a good concept. I'm not sure how well it would work out.
It depends on how good we are at coming up with ridiculous excuses, I suppose.
Okay. Well, should we try something?
Yeah. Okay. You want me to come up with a scenario?
Sure.
Okay. I was 2 hours late to work.
Okay. 2 hours late to work. Your manager calls you into his or her office.
And demands an explanation.
And wants to know, because otherwise you're going to get fired.
Right.
Or next time you do it, you'll get fired or something.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they're gonna write me up. I need a good excuse.
You need a good excuse. Okay.
To avoid being written up.
Okay. And now I have to come up with the excuse.
We can come up with
we should
the
both come up with the
together.
Excuse. Yeah. Okay, well what if you got held up because a circus suddenly appeared? A pop-up circus, is that a thing? Appeared in the street and it caused traffic to go haywire.
A pop-up circus is a thing.
Is that?
Because remember, when we were living in East Harlem, I was coming back from a run and there were just a carnival set up in the street. Okay. I took pictures of it.
Yeah, I kind of remember that. Yeah. So you could say like, Mr. Jenkins, I'm sorry I'm late, but an elephant almost crushed my car. There was apparently a pop-up circus on such and such avenue, and then it was gone. I think it's gone already, so you can't go check on that. But there was elephants, I saw a giraffe. Traffic was insane. Something like that.
Yeah, because giraffes are really bad at driving cars.
Yeah. The giraffe hit the elephant, I think.
Yeah.
In his car.
And the elephant didn't want to give its insurance info, and it took ages.
Yeah. I mean, that's something. Yeah. That's kind of something.
Yeah. Believable, for sure.
Semi-believable. If you put in enough really weird details, like, a monkey jumped on your car, or you saw a monkey on somebody's car, and and there was a big tent covering.
Yeah, I think you got to put in just enough detail.
Yeah, just enough detail. But like, I'm thinking that enough the kind of ridiculous detail that people will be like, they couldn't have made that up, right?
Or a wasp. A wasp flew in my car.
Is this a totally separate idea?
This is a separate idea.
Okay, totally separate.
A wasp flew in my car.
Okay.
I was at a stoplight. I got out. The light turned green, and the person behind me hit me, but I wasn't in my car. But my car was totaled.
Okay.
And
I had to walk to work?
And I had to walk to work.
Okay.
I guess the problem with this one is you'd have to walk to work.
Yeah,
or like
and not
park
have your car anymore.
Park not very close to your work.
I got the
no, you just have to not have your car for like a reasonable amount of time.
If your car's totaled, you have to get a new car.
Okay, the car's not totaled then. Yeah. Maybe the car's not currently drivable.
Right. Okay.
So bonus, you get some extra exercise.
Okay. Yeah, okay. I guess that might be something people would want. It reminds me of a true story of one time I rear-ended somebody because I was looking at a bee on my windshield. A bee landed on my windshield, and I was like I was in stop and go traffic, and I was trying to like scoot it off with like the windshield wipers or something. And I think I just didn't stop quite in time because I was distracted by the bee on my windshield.
And that's when you knew you had ADD.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Actually, no. I didn't know that for years after that. Until after that, but
it was a clue.
Maybe it was in hindsight. It's definitely a clue.
And then you were 2 hours late to work.
And then I was 2 hours late to work, and the bee had taken my job.
Did it get a little suit? Was it wearing a little suit?
Yeah.
Did it have a tiny little briefcase?
Nobody at the job wore suits or had briefcases, but the bee did. Yeah.
He didn't understand the position.
No. The bee was not very good at web design, so I did get my job back shortly after that, but, I was on thin ice.
It takes forever for bees to type.
That's true. That's true. They really have to like fly into the key really hard. Yeah. Okay, yeah, so that's that idea. I don't know.
Right.
Do you have another one?
That's a fun one. Okay, so the other idea that I had this week is a podcast where I try to convince you that you should drink coffee.
Okay. I don't see that being very fruitful, but maybe that means there's a lot of content because I wouldn't start drinking coffee for quite a while.
Yeah, probably. The podcast will end when I finally convince you to drink coffee.
Okay. And how do you think that podcast would go?
Well, basically, I guess it'll just be me talking about why coffee is good.
What you love about coffee.
What I love about coffee and you countering it.
And how that would help my life in some way, I guess. Yeah,
we could try a little bit now. So like,
okay.
Well, you didn't think that you liked wine, but now you're all right with wine.
Yeah, I like wine that is most people who like wine consider way too sweet and gross, but I like some wine.
Just some wine. You can make coffee sweeter.
Sure. Yeah. No, I know that you can do that, but you could also just drink hot cocoa or something.
Yeah, but you don't get caffeine from hot cocoa.
Yeah, but you don't get caffeine headaches if you don't get addicted to caffeine.
Caffeine has a lot of benefits.
Oh yeah, like what?
Well, it helps headaches.
if you have a caffeine headache, yeah.
Well, no, I mean it actually just generally helps headaches. Don't you remember we went to that live taping of Sawbones where ironically, I didn't have time to get coffee ahead of time and was really upset about it. And then they ended up doing an episode about coffee.
Yeah. Well, it thins your blood or something, doesn't it?
I think
or it changes your blood pressure.
I think it causes your blood vessels to dilate.
Yeah, something like that.
So if you have a headache that's caused by like constriction.
Yeah.
Which a lot of times headaches are, I think.
Right.
I'm going off my remembered knowledge. I am not a doctor or
medical advice.
This is not medical advice or anything like that, but I think that's how it works.
Yeah, but there are headache medicines that have caffeine in them.
Well, that's...
So like if I have a headache, I could just take a headache medicine that has caffeine in it.
Yeah, but then you have to take the other stuff too.
What do you mean other stuff?
I mean, it's not just caffeine. It's not just caffeine in those.
It'll be better than caffeine because it'll actually be targeted at headaches.
Well, sure, if you want to fill your body full of more drugs that you don't need.
Oh,
what if caffeine would just kill?
We're going down that route, are we? Well, there are caffeine pills also.
There are caffeine pills. You could have a mocha, which is, if If you just do one shot of espresso in it, it'll basically just taste like hot chocolate.
Yeah. But when you say basically, you mean it'll taste like hot chocolate and at best slightly worse than
But
hot
it'll
chocolate.
also give you a little kick.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Or I could just have the hot chocolate.
You'll do things...
Also,
You'll do stupid things faster with more energy.
a reminder that I don't need coffee in the morning because I take amphetamines every day as part of my ADHD medication. So I'm always more awake than well, not always, but I'm often more awake than I want to be by the time the day's over.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I don't necessarily need additional stimulants.
Yeah. Well, coffee is good for ADHD.
You're saying I would do that instead of my medication?
No, I'm saying it helps actually with like calming you down. Typically, if people have ADHD, coffee has the opposite effect.
Oh, right. Just like other stimulants.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also don't have hyperactive ADD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's episode 1. Now, and then episode 2 is...
I make Miles try coffee.
You make me... Well, I've tried coffee before.
I don't think you've tried good coffee.
Oh, that's quite possible.
Oh, yeah. I try to find... Each episode, I try to find a coffee that I think you'll like.
Okay. So I have to drink at least a few sips of coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess so.
Yeah.
This is kind of like my smoke weed every day idea, but
Yeah.
not as cool, man.
Well, or cooler.
Or cooler,
If you-
depending on what you're into, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you probably get more done
Okay.
if you're drinking coffee every day than smoking weed every day.
Oh, that's probably true. Why not both? Okay. Is there anything else to this idea?
Probably not.
All right. I have another idea,
All right.
which is it's called Clownpenis.fart.
Okay. Elaborate.
Which is another, and I refuse to elaborate. No, which is another reference, but not to something I did. It's a reference to an old Saturday Night Live skit, which is about like an accounting firm or a law firm or something that is just getting on the internet, or just getting a website, but now all the website domains are taken.
Okay.
And the only one that's left is clownpenis.fart.
Okay.
And I mean, that's pretty much the joke. It's like a straightforward law firm or accounting firm or whatever.
Right.
And our website is clownpenis.fart.
Right.
Unfortunately, I don't believe there's a .fart domain now, because they've opened up the domain, so you actually could hypothetically have clownpenis.fart. It used to be only a handful of top level domains. They're called TLDs, and now anybody can make one. I think it costs like $150,000 to set one up, or something like that.
Oh wow!
And once you do that, you can sell those to anybody, and so people do that to make money, or they do it like, I think Microsoft has like .Microsoft or something, right? Like companies will buy it to have that. So I have so that's the explanation of the name. I have a lot of domain names. I like to buy ridiculous, stupid domain names.
Right. I know this about you.
But then I just basically park them because what am I going to do with clowns.gay? A domain that I do own. Actually, I'm going to look up some of the ones I own. And most of them are in the same place, so I can find a list, but it isn't actually all of them. But one sec. Okay, so here are some of the domains that I own. I also own some like sort of regular ones that are for actual websites that I have or whatever. But 42069.pizza,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
boner.cool, clowns.gay, coolpodcast.website, as people know, faunch.net, and faunch.org, which I bought for my daughter.
I forgot about that.
Who one day just drew some pictures of something she called Faunch, as if it was like a website that she could sell things on. If you go to faunch.org, I believe, or Faunch.
Oh yeah, you set up her website.
I put the website up. Anyway, nude.horse.
It's one of my favorites.
Yep.
Okay, but what's the podcast idea?
Okay, so that's some of them. The idea is I don't have anything for these to be for, so we discuss what that website could be.
Okay.
Right? So we could figure out what is clowns.gay for.
Okay.
Right? What is nude.horse? What is that website?
All right.
And it doesn't just have to be these. These, I think, would make a first bunch of episodes. But then after that, we could just look for weird domains that we could buy and then talk about what that website could be.
Okay, so this is an excuse to further your domain hoarding habit.
Yes.
Okay.
My addiction to buying stupid domain names.
All right.
I have a bunch more. I don't know why they're not on the list I'm looking at right now, but I have like fartrainbows.com and phonybaloneypony.com and spookyskeleton.com, I think.
That's a pretty good one.
Or is it skeletons plural? I forget. But I have a lot.
All right. So what have we got? What ideas have we got so far this week? I think we should pick one
to talk about.
Expand on.
Okay.
Yeah.
You had...
So we've got a Raccoon Fancast.
Raccoon Fancast, Make Me Drink Coffee, and I had Eat My Butt, Mr. Jenkins, and Clownpenis.fart.
All right.
What of those is exciting to you?
Actually, I'm going to ask you, because I feel like aside the coffee one, I think I like all of these.
Yeah, these are all kind of fun.
Expand on them.
These are all kind of fun. I think I like the domain name one the most.
All right.
I don't know if there'd be some kind of trademark or copyright issue with using the name Clownpenis.fart if that sketch has the IP rights to that. But I figure for now we could at least call it that.
All right. Should we try a couple domains? And I feel like we should start with nude.horse.
Nude.horse. Okay.
Yeah.
Is it sounds...
It could just be pictures of horses.
That's true. They are typically nude.
Yeah.
To begin with.
Yeah.
We could have
like a you must be 18 to enter this site. But then it's just pictures of horses.
Yeah. We would probably get some kind of government people on our tail for a bestiality website, or even though, like, you know what I mean?
But I mean, if it's just pictures of horses and like links to horse websites.
Yeah. I guess it could be like there are horses that aren't nude, right? I've seen pictures of horses in like a suit, for example, or a scarf or something. So it could be like side by side, the horse with clothes on, the horse without clothes on.
Or it could just be false advertising and it's just pictures of horses wearing clothes.
Okay. It's like pictures of it's pictures of horses wearing clothes, and then there's a button at the bottom that says send us money on PayPal or whatever if you want to, or our OnlyFans. So
like an OnlyFans, but for horses.
If you want to see these horses actually nude, 18 plus only. But we wouldn't, I don't know if we would have pictures.
And you think that idea wouldn't get the government on our tail?
Well, we've already acknowledged that this is a government. The government is tracking us right now just for talking about it. They probably started tracking me as soon as I bought nude.horse.
It could be a Mr. Ed fan site.
Okay. But just into how the fact that he's nude is important somehow?
No, that's just the
website.
That's just the website.
We could set up like an accounting website or something and be like, this is the website we could get. I did actually buy that domain recently because we were looking for a domain for this podcast, and I was like, well, that would be funny. Go to our podcast, our website for this podcast, which is nude.horse. Right. It didn't quite feel like it made enough sense to use that way. Yeah. That's why we did Cool Podcast.
Well, I mean, we could redirect it to our website.
We could, which is probably what I should be doing for all of these, is redirecting them to some other website. So on the off chance that someone types in nude.horse, they at least go somewhere.
I mean, someone probably will now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably just showing a parked, posting page or whatever. But should we? Okay, so that's some ideas for that one. Do you want to hear some more? I found another.
Oh, you don't want to You don't want to expand further on nude.horse?
I have lots more that we could talk about.
I have lots more horse-related ideas, though.
Okay, well, hit me with some more horse-related ideas.
Okay, well, you could write a comic about a horse that's a never nude.
So it's an aspirational URL.
Yeah.
The horse wishes he could be nude, but he's got anxiety about it.
And he's always got to wear jean shorts in his horse shower.
Jean shorts on.
In his horse shower. Or maybe a never nude horse never wants to take its saddle off.
Okay. Or its bridle or something. Yeah.
It could just be... Okay, maybe I lied when I said I had lots of horse ideas.
I was kind of doubting that you really had that many more.
I really just had the one more I wanted to say, I guess.
I just want to read you...
What if it was a website for, famous horses?
That are nude? Famous... Oh, it's like WikiFeet.
Yeah.
Famous pictures of famous horses.
Their feet.
Well, they kind of don't have
They're hooves.
I guess hooves are still feet.
Yeah.
Or are they? I don't know.
So maybe kind of. They're one big toe.
One big like toenail, basically.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to, unless inspiration strikes and you have some more great horse ideas, I would like to move on from the nude.horse discussion and go through some of my other domains that we could talk about.
I will reluctantly move on.
Okay. So, like we said, there's 42069.pizza. I have AFKJFK.
Okay.
I have apprehensivehighfives.com.
Okay.
I have boner.cool, clowns.gay. I have fartrainbows.com, floppybutts.com, which I do have a comic, one strip of a comic up on that you could go to. happypuppypals.com, killerwizard.com.
Killer Wizard, bro.
Yeah, I guess so. phonybaloneypony.com, spookyskeleton.com, thebestdinosaur.com, and theworstdinosaur.com, which do have content, but not much. whalepuncher.com, wickedexcellent.com, wazler.com. I don't even know what that is supposed to be. And let's see, zamboners.com, which is like Zambonis, but boners, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. Did any of those sound worth talking about, or do you just want to go back to nude.horse?
Well, I always want to go back to nude.horse. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think of which. Maybe bestdinosaur.com. Actually, maybe worstdinosaur.com.
Okay, so I'll tell you about both of those.
Bestdinosaur.com should probably redirect to worstdinosaur.com.
What? Why would the best dinosaur be the worst dinosaur?
Because there is no best dinosaur. You only get the worst one.
No, if you go to bestdinosaur.com right now, you will see a picture of a Stegosaurus because that's the best dinosaur.
Why is that the best dinosaur?
I will not be taking further questions.
I would posit that the best dinosaur is the pterodactyl.
Pterodactyls are not dinosaurs.
I know.
I
don't have to have that discussion
So
again.
here's a fact about when you buy a domain. You have to put in a phone number and an email address. And I have in the past gotten a call from somebody who wanted to argue with me that Stegosaurus is not the best dinosaur.
No, you didn't.
I did. They said that Tyrannosaurus Rex is the best dinosaur. And I said, that's like saying Michelangelo is the best Ninja Turtle, i.e., that's what the shallow fans think. People who don't know that much, they're like, oh yeah, T-Rex, obviously, that's the best.
That's just some random person called you and you had a whole discussion.
It was a brief discussion.
Wait,
but
so
yeah.
you picked up the phone when it was someone you didn't know? That is the part that is...
I've owned this website for a long time, so it was quite a while ago.
When you used to...
When I would maybe be more likely to pick up the phone, yeah.
Yeah, because I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah.
Picking up the phone if I didn't know who was calling.
Yeah.
I'm more of a, let it go to voicemail and then Google the phone number kind of girl.
Right, sure. In this day and age, that's more likely what I would do. But yeah, this was quite a while ago.
All right.
The worstdinosaur.com right now just has a big picture of Barney the dinosaur on it.
Okay.
But I would accept suggestions for other things that could be on this website.
Okay. So maybe we could have maybe it could be a poll each week. Like a good versus soup kind of thing. And where
you mean a tournament?
Yeah, where we try to suss out actually what is the worst dinosaur.
What's the worst? What do people think is the worst dinosaur?
Right.
Yeah, I feel like people at large probably have opinions on maybe 10 dinosaurs, right? Like nobody knows what a Procompsognathus is or something, right? Or a Pachycephalosaurus or something, right?
I'm sorry, I'm still just stuck on the person who looked up the phone number and decided that that he was going to call to argue.
And argue about it. I've also had people email to argue about it, or maybe even to if they wanted to buy it or something. I can't remember, but yeah, it's a thing. It's possible that the only reason I'm not still getting calls about it is because that my who is info is probably out of date and not my current number anymore, possibly.
Right.
Which again tells you how long I've had this website for, because I've had my same phone number since 2009 or something. If we're being super honest, Stegosaurus is a little bit of an arbitrary pick. It's a good dinosaur. There's other dinosaurs I could argue.
Tell me your reasons why you picked the Stegosaurus.
It's a cool dinosaur.
Oh, okay.
And I just wanted one that was like a reasonably decent choice, you know. I think you could make arguments for lots of cool dinosaurs. I have opinions. I think I have opinions about lots of dinosaurs. I think you could definitely argue that other dinosaurs are the best dinosaur or whatever. I feel like mainly T-Rex is clearly not the best dinosaur just because it's like so obvious.
Can't even play piano.
Can't play piano, which Stegosaurus... Actually, I just remembered. The reason I picked Stegosaurus is because the spikes on...
Maybe it could play piano, actually. Maybe that is something a T-Rex could do with its tiny little arms.
If it was a high enough...
Yeah. Just needs a high like keyboard stand.
Yeah, sure. I just remembered the reason that I picked the Stegosaurus, I think, was because of how awesome it is that the actual scientific name for the spikes on the tail of the Stegosaurus. You're familiar with the Stegosaurus as four spikes on its tail?
Yes.
The scientific name for it is a thagomizer, which comes from a Far Side comic where a caveman is pointing at a diagram saying, and this is called a thagomizer after the late Thag Simmons, which is a very good comic. And also very good that that's what they decided to actually call it.
Yeah, very good name. We could have the best dinosaur could be a website dedicated to T-Rexes playing piano.
The best dinosaur is whatever dinosaur can play for release the best or something.
This week we try to teach a Dilophosaurus to play the violin.
Yeah, okay. We could put up like Brontosaurus to troll people, since I think Brontosaurus is not considered a real dinosaur anymore.
Yeah.
Or is it again? Because it wasn't, and then it was again, and I think...
Yeah, I don't care. It's a dinosaur.
Sure.
So is a pterodactyl. I don't care.
Yeah, honestly, Brontosaurus is a better name than Apatosaurus, I think, for a dinosaur.
I don't know what you're referring to.
Oh, Brontosaurus is no longer... It's sort of like how Pluto isn't a planet anymore. Brontosaurus isn't a dinosaur anymore because they realized that all the specimens of Brontosaurus are the same as the specimens of Apatosaurus, and Apatosaurus was named first, so that's the actual name for the dinosaur.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Brontosaurus is a much better name.
Right. It means thunder lizard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Then it's objectively better.
I don't even know what Apatosaurus means, and so that we could say that's the best dinosaur just to troll dinosaur people.
Yeah.
We could definitely troll some dinosaur nerds. I'm on the dinosaurs subreddit, and people there get so mad whenever somebody calls a pterodactyl a dinosaur.
Yeah. Yeah, I think...
It's so dumb. Like,
that's why we should make it a pterodactyl.
It's not a dinosaur, I understand, but also, who cares?
But it's also, it is a dinosaur.
It's a dinosaur in common usage, right?
Right.
Like, common usage, any ancient... They also get really mad when you call a Dimetrodon. They get really mad if you call a Dimetrodon a dinosaur also, because if you do remember the Dimetrodon, it's got a big fin, like sail on its back.
Okay.
Spines or whatever.
Yeah.
But if you recall, it also has legs that go out to the side rather than underneath it, like an alligator does or a crocodile. Mm-hmm. And as it turns out, Dimetrodon is actually more closely related to mammals than it is to dinosaurs.
So you're not allowed to call it a dinosaur.
Right. Well, it's an interesting fact, right? And if you're into dinosaurs, that's cool and interesting. But also, it's a fucking ancient reptile that's huge. And looks like a dinosaur. It's a dinosaur, right?
Yeah,
it's a dinosaur
I do like the idea.
Usage.
I do like the idea of trolling dinosaur nerds.
Yeah. If our friend Corey listens to this, he might be mad already.
Sorry, Corey.
Sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Yeah. So we could definitely do some trolling with the best and the worst dinosaur.com if we wanted to. Yeah. So I think this could be a pretty fun podcast.
Yeah, it could be fun.
Because like I said, I have a bunch of those ones. I didn't read literally all of them. I read a bunch of them that I have. And we could definitely figure out what's clowns.gay? Is it a dating app site?
A dating app for clowns.
For gay clowns.
Oh, I love that.
That could be fun, right? Stuff like that. And then when we run out of those, I also love just seeing what stupid domains are available. And a lot of times, like most domains cost between like $5 and $30 a year to own. Mm-hmm. So they're really not very expensive. So it's pretty easy to own a bunch of them. Yeah. As I do. And so
it adds up though.
Yeah, it does, but not that much.
Yeah.
Not that much,
depending
honestly.
on how many you have.
Yeah, well, I haven't bought very many of the ones that cost more like $30 a year or whatever.
You're more in the $5 range.
Most of them are like, I think Clowns.gay is $2 a year or something like that. Right? That's not really even adding up, honestly.
Right.
I'm not going to notice $2 over a year, even $20 over a year. I'm not going to notice really. So it doesn't add up that much.
And it's an investment, really.
It's an investment. That's right. Any of these could turn out to be the one that somebody wants to buy for. Actually, it is true that people in the past have snapped up domains and sold them off for millions of dollars or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think that's probably going to be the case for any of the domains I buy, but who knows?
Who knows?
Maybe Clowns.gay will be a real app that somebody wants to make for ICP fans or something.
Yeah, so if you are wanting to buy Clowns.gay, hit us up.
Yeah, let us know. I think Rory is starting to get to his limit here, so we probably should wrap up.
Yeah, he's a little bit past his nap at this point and getting a little bit cranky. Yeah, so follow us on social media. You can find all of our links at coolpodcast.website. Unfortunately, you cannot follow us on Twitter as they suspended the account that I set up, even though we never followed anybody or tweeted.
Maybe because of that?
I think maybe because of that. I think they have a new policy where if you haven't logged in 30 days, they'll suspend your account, which is ridiculous because I know people on Twitter who have died.
Right, that sucks.
And that
sucks, yeah.
Would suck, really. I think if they suspend the account, the tweets stay in read-only mode. Oh, okay. So hopefully they don't just get rid of those tweets. So yeah, Twitter is gone to shit. It's very sad.
Twitter is garbage now. It was garbage before, but it's a worse kind of garbage.
Yeah, it's sad to me because I have been on Twitter for a long time and met a lot of cool people through Twitter, and it's that part of it is sad to me. Anyway, that aside, you can follow us on Facebook. Just search for What Should Our Podcast Be About. You can also find us on Instagram at What Should Pod. We haven't posted anything there yet, but we will be soon. And email us your ideas at coolpodcast.website.
That's right.
Please email us your ideas, and please rate us on Spotify and Apple, because that will help us.
Any of the podcatchers or whatever they're called, any of the different podcast things, that we should be on all of them. You can rate us on any of them. That probably helps, but maybe the bigger ones would be Spotify and Apple. But yeah, wherever you listen is cool. Yeah, but yeah, please do leave us a review and rate us. That will help other people see this podcast on their feed or not their feed, but recommend it to them, and more people will listen, and that'll be cool. Well, mostly because we want to get more ideas from listeners. That's right. I also wanted to mention, one thing I want to mention is that this is our first podcast we're recording since we've actually started publishing the podcast, out to the world. We are quite a few episodes ahead. So if you send us ideas, you may have to wait a little while, by which I mean 5 to 7 weeks or so, something like that. We're going to be moving soon, so we definitely needed to have extra podcasts in the hopper to be able to publish. Well, we probably won't be able to record for a few weeks here, but if you send us ideas, we absolutely will mention them. It just might take us a while to get to them. Yep, but we really want the ideas, so please do send them. The other thing I wanted to mention is that if anybody, we've said this before, but if anybody makes a podcast based on any of the ideas that we talked about on the show, feel free. That's awesome. Send us a link. We'll probably give it a listen and give you a shout out, probably even. Unless it is really bad, then we might just pretend we never saw it, I guess. But yeah, if you feel inspired by anything we've talked about, feel free. Go for it. It's awesome. We love it. And now we're going to wrap up because Rory is starting to screech like a little pterodactyl. He's screeching so good / bad and saying mama mama, which you might be hearing right now. And it is adorable. It's very cute, but we can't really record while it's happening. So yeah, we do need to wrap up. So maybe I'll put one of his little screeches at the very end. If you're interested in hearing what we get to enjoy all the time, you can listen to after the final song, and we'll just put in a big old screech he did. That's the end of the podcast. So thank you for listening. And yeah, we will talk at you next time. Yeah. Remember, all ideas are equally stupid, but some are more equal than others. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. What was that podcast about? I'm trying to figure it out. What was that podcast about? Could you perhaps help me out? I've suddenly grown a snout. Didn't catch what that was about.